Well, the Arizona economy continues to impress. We had a strong year in 2018, and 2019 so far looks equally good. Arizona added over 76,000 jobs over the year in the second quarter. That translates into 2.7% growth. It's faster than national growth at 1.6%. Phoenix continues to be the engine of growth in Arizona. Phoenix added jobs at a 3.2% pace last year, double the national pace. Tucson is contributing as well. We also grew faster than the nation at 1.8%. And one of the things that we're noticing in the data these days is that house prices in Arizona and nationally continue to rise. They're rising faster in Arizona than nationally, and our house prices are also rising faster than wages. And that means that housing affordability continues to deteriorate. Now, the good news here is that most metropolitan areas in Arizona have better housing affordability than the nation on average. And all of our metropolitan areas are more affordable than the major metropolitan areas in the West, like LA, San Francisco, and even Seattle. Now, overall, the outlook for Arizona, Phoenix, and Tucson is positive over the next couple of years. Growth this year should be very much similar to what we saw last year. Growth, I think, will slow down as we go over the next couple of years. And really what's driving that is the expectation that the national economy is going to go from above trend growth last year to below trend growth by 2021. Now, the national economy is in the midst of the longest expansion on record. But what we've seen over the past year is that recession risks have been trending up. And what's driving that is slowing global growth, increased fears of even more severe trade wars, and the inversion of the yield curve, which means that some long-term rates are now below short-term rates, and that's typically an indication that national growth is going to slow or a recession may be down the road. One thing to keep in mind is that if the national economy does fall into recession in 2020 or 2021, that's going to slow growth in Arizona, Phoenix, and Tucson as well. Now, the long-term picture for Arizona remains positive. We're going to continue to grow much faster than the nation. But like the nation and really all states across the nation, our growth is going to slow in coming decades. Average growth in jobs, population, and income over the next 30 years is very likely to be slower than what we've seen over previous 30-year periods. And what's really driving that is the aging of the baby boom generation. As baby boomers retire in large numbers, that's going to slow job and output growth really across the board. Now, Arizona's per capita personal income is going to continue to grow over the next 30 years, even after adjustment for inflation. But you also want to keep in mind that Arizona's per capita personal income is well below the national average, even if we adjust for differences in the cost of housing and the overall cost of living. Last year, Arizona's per capita personal income was 18.7% below the national average. Now, the forecast calls for Arizona to make a little bit of progress in closing that gap over the next 30 years, and that's driven by improved wage growth. But nonetheless, even 30 years from now, the gap is still right in the neighborhood of 13%, so still really large. And if Arizona is going to make progress in terms of driving our per capita personal income to the national average and eliminating that income gap, we're going to need to do much better in terms of attracting and retaining highly educated workers. So that's something we'll want to think about as we think about what Arizona will be like over the next 30 years.